Ambassador Dore, president of the Jerusalem Center for Public Affairs and former Israeli ambassador to the UN. He just testified before a House committee about Israel's security needs. Ambassador, let me start with you. This audience, I don't think there was one person that was in dissent. This audience believes Israel is being set up by the United States, our own government. How is this looking to you, sir?
Well, right now we are facing a problem that looks like a setup, but it comes really from Europe at this point. The British, the Germans, and the French want a body called the Quartet, a multilateral body that's supposed to meet in mid-April, to issue a statement that would tear away from Israel the territorial buffers that have protected it for over 40 years in the West Bank. I'm speaking specifically about the Jordan Valley, which has been the front line of Israel's defense since that time. They want us to go back to the pre-1967 lines, what are called the 49 Armistice lines. And if that happens, Israel cannot be defended.
There was a major piece for the UN that came out and said Israel is an oppressor. It is engaging in, I believe the words genocide were in this report. And it was a major stone that people use to stand on against Israel. The writer of that report has just reversed himself. What is the significance of that?
Justice Goldstone came up with what I would call a blood libel against the state of Israel. He charged that the Israeli army back in 2008-2009 intentionally killed Palestinian civilians. That is complete falsehood. Anybody who's familiar with what happened in Operation Cast Lead, the Gaza war, knows that the Israeli army provided warnings that were unprecedented to the Palestinian population. They provided leaflets, like many armies. But our intelligence services also called people's homes and said, if you have weaponry in your home, you better leave, because in about 10 minutes, our Air Force is going to destroy that home. It is a military target. Do you know of an army that takes Arabic-speaking intelligence officers and has them call the target to tell the civilians to leave?
No.
That's a country that wants to kill civilians intentionally. It was a complete lie. It was made up. And I'm glad that Justice Goldstone finally stood up and said the report he issued is untrue.
You must feel the possibility, at least, of a global pounce on Israel. How much sleep do you guys lose?
Well, let me characterize the problem. Israel is a very strong country. The Jewish people are not in a position that they were in the 1930s. We're able to defend ourselves. And by the way, the United States is a very strong country. The point of weakness is a moral weakness. It's a moral weakness coming out of Europe, which puts pressure on us today, and to some extent puts pressure on the U.S. As you started your show, you pointed out that Israel was being set up. And the point I'm trying to make, and I tried to make a little earlier, is that if you strip Israel of the defenses that it has to protect itself from this regional tsunami of radical Islam, then you leave Israel exposed. That is why we must assure something which American presidents have guaranteed Israel in writing in the past, that whatever happens in the peace process, whatever happens in the region, at the end of the day, Israel is entitled to defensible borders, and it must protect those defensible borders so that it can protect itself. And we should not allow a European initiative to force Israel to give up those territorial barriers that have protected it.
America doesn't have the money or resources anymore to be the policeman of the world. Explain to somebody what it means to stand by Israel. We have to go over and fight wars with you, or what does it mean?
That is precisely the point. Israel never asked the United States to risk the lives of American troops to defend it. We don't want to be West Germany in the Cold War. We don't want to be South Korea with American troops deployed along the demilitarized zone. There are people today who are suggesting that Israel should get out of that great strategic buffer that protects it, the Jordan Valley, and put NATO forces there. Put the 82nd Airborne there. And we're complimented by the thought. But we don't want that to happen. We don't want American troops or any other troops defending Israel. We want to fulfill the doctrine of the founder of Israel, David Ben-Gurion, of self-reliance. that Israel defends itself by itself. And what we ask from the United States is diplomatic support so we can maintain that position.
I have to tell you, I love you as an ally. With an answer like that, I love you as an ally. I wish our own citizens would say, we'll defend ourselves and we'll take care of ourselves and stand on our own 2 feet. What is it, and Dore, maybe I should ask you, what is it that we can do as American people?
Well, let me raise just one other point that's connected to all of this, and with Pastor Hagee there and the rabbi, I have to point this out. That's the future of Jerusalem. Under Israel, Jerusalem is open to all faiths. You know, if you look what's been going on in the Middle East the last 10, 15 years, you see that Buddhist statues in the Bamiyan Valley were exploded by the Taliban. You see churches in Pakistan and Iraq coming under attack. You see Egyptian Coptic Christians being assaulted by their neighbors. Only a free and democratic Israel will protect Jerusalem for all faiths. Otherwise, this anti-religious trend, this trend to assault non-Muslim believers that's occurring across the Middle East will come to the heart of Jerusalem. I have said this to American secretaries of state. I've said this to many U.S. officials. We need your backing to keep Jerusalem united under the sovereignty of Israel.